Welcome to another episode of Parenting Not What You Thought podcast, where we delve into the depths of parenting in ways that you might never have thought of before. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Welcome. It is my honor and pleasure to have here with us Mrs. Rosalie Shatzman, a renowned health and weight loss coach. If you're on LinkedIn at all, you definitely know who she is, and she's helped many people with their health. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I feel honored to be here.
So please tell us a little bit about what you do and what your mission is.
Sure. As you mentioned, I'm a health and weight loss coach. I've been coaching a little over 20 years now, and I recently opened my own practice. Thank God, it'll be a year this February. And what I do is I help people learn how to lead a healthy lifestyle. I teach them how to eat, not how to diet, because as we all know, diets do not work. We go on a diet and then we go off a diet. It's called yo-yo dieting. What I do is I teach my clients how to organize themselves. Organizational skills are very important. I also teach portion amounts. I teach my clients how to read nutritional labels, how to plan their meals, how to what to eat every single day so that they will maintain weight loss, and then I teach them how to maintain weight maintenance.
That
As a little
sounds
side fact,
amazing.
you know that 95% of the people within 6 months to a year and a half gain back some, all, or more weight. Clearly, diets do not work. It's
Yeah.
life.
I even have, when I first connected with you about 5 years ago, I wrote as a joke, I took a risk connecting with you because I was nervous that maybe you would put me on a diet, and you wrote, I don't do diets.
I remember that.
That's definitely true. Now, you mentioned that you teach people how to plan their meals, how to read the nutrition labels, how to organize their day. I mean, I've done eating plans. They work, but they also take a lot of time and a lot of effort. And even the way you're describing it, it sounds fantastic, but it also sounds time consuming. And for someone who's, let's say, not married or just recently married, or for someone who's married off their children already, that's fantastic. But what about a young parent who they have, let's say, two, three, four kids under the age of 3.5, and they're flying all over the place and they're running all around? And just recently, I interviewed Moshe Maskowitz from Jump Into Shape, and I asked him if that's considered exercise, running after your kids. When are they and how are they able to maintain a healthy lifestyle in such a busy?
That's a great question. But especially when a parent is young, they have to be in the best shape possible. They're taking care of their family. They have many other responsibilities, maybe working out of the house as well. They have to maintain good health. First and foremost, it's planning and organizing. I always say if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. You've heard that, I'm sure. So there's many things I help my clients with. Planning Sunday night, what they're going to be preparing for the entire week, meal plan. But first, we have to go shopping for the food. We can plan all the planning we want. If the food isn't there, it's not going to happen. So I help them with the shopping lists, with the planning the meals. With the men, it's very important they have breakfast and they have lunch. Many times I find the men skip breakfast, they skip lunch, they go straight to dinner, they're famished, they overeat, and they gain weight. So I help them plan simple. Like I say, keep it simple. I help them plan simple breakfast, simple lunches that they can take along with them. My feeling is the simpler you make it, the more you're going to follow it.
That's right.
Also, with women making double portions when they're cooking, freezing some. That's a very easy way to save time. Crock pot cooking is amazing. You put it up in the morning, come back at night, it's all done for you. So all these little things. Having snacks cut up in the fridge so you don't have to grab as soon as you walk in the house. Vegetables cut up, fruit cut up.
Right. So that's great, because basically we're saying is putting in a little bit of time at the beginning of the week will give you the ability to be able to do this without expending a tremendous amount of time over the week when you're very busy.
Exactly. It's the
That's a
planning.
fantastic tip. I mean, it's a fantastic tip for anything in life. And the truth is, when it comes to healthy eating, very often we tend to say, okay, it's nice, I want to do it, but it's not really working. And when you have a very practical, easy to use solution to make it work, that will make it much more doable and much more practical. I have that also, when I do my parent coaching with parents, there are many, many great ideas out there. And many of them will not be practical for a young, busy family with two working parents. They're just not practical. And if they're not practical, then they're not a good idea.
It's not going to happen then, 100%. And
Right.
what you have to do is try to incorporate it into the person's lifestyle so that it will work for them. So I do tailor my program to work for the client.
Right. That's very important. That's why you're a coach. I find this a lot. I mean, I've interviewed a few coaches lately. I'm a coach myself, and a coach really tries to make everything very, very individualized for that person and to make it work for them and for their lifestyle and for who they are instead of trying to fit them into the box, which sounds like what you do with your clients, which is very good. Let me ask you a different question, though.
Sure.
I mean, we're talking about a young parent, and the mornings tend to be chaotic a lot of times. If anyone listening, know you're not alone. It's very usual, very common, very normal. And one kid is schlepping, and they're just not moving. They're slow as molasses. And another kid is tantruming, and another one actually is trying to get out in time, and you can't pay them the proper attention. And by the time you actually get to work yourself, you are done. Forget about when you come home after a whole stressful day at work. And now you're home. There are different types, I'm sure you could expound more on this, but there are different types of eaters. There are different types of people that eat for different reasons. And some of them are emotional eaters. And when they come home from this whole day of stress, they're not necessarily looking for that bag of peppers. They want tater chips or a piece of chocolate cake or chocolate itself to really help them unwind and get out of the whole day. What would you advise such a person?
We're talking about emotional eaters. Many people I see are emotional eaters. Um, it's not bad to occasionally have a treat in the evening. What we're talking about is people who constantly refer to food when they're stressed or for any emotion, they turn to food. That's something that has to be addressed. But there has to be other alternatives found. Emotional eating sometimes masks what's really going on inside us. It could just be we're tired. It could be we're stressed from the day. Something maybe triggered us, and then reminded when we're quiet and by ourselves in the evening. But what I always tell parents before they sit down and unwind and reach for that forbidden food, pause and reflect what's going on in your life. Are you tired? Have you not had a good day? Have you not eaten enough? Sometimes we don't eat enough during the day, and then we're starving at night. Our body wants to make up the calories. Comfort food is called comfort for a reason. It is comforting. But sometimes we need to eat more healthy, and that's what our body really is asking for. So I
Oh,
say
well.
pause and reflect. Also, maybe not keep all that food so available. Out of sight, out of mind. I myself like chocolate. I don't keep it available all the time. Sometimes a baked apple, a hot baked apple, hot out of the oven, can serve the trick. It can comfort you, it can make you feel better. You don't always have to, reach for the cake or the chocolate. Sometimes you may need it. I'm not saying never.
Mhm.
There's no set rule. We need to get adequate sleep. Sometimes sleep causes us to want to eat more at night as well. I
Right.
know myself, if I don't get a good night's sleep, I'm looking for that food at night.
I see sleep all the time as a major, major detriment to people's stability. Just making it through the day, being able to be calm and relaxed. I mean, I knew a Rebbe that came to me and asked me if the boy who had ADHD didn't take his pills recently. And I spoke to the mother, and the mother said everything's the same. The only difference is he's been going to sleep much later.
There you
You know,
go.
that definitely makes a lot of sense.
100%.
And I
100%.
see also your background over here, where I know that you have a background in education and consulting, right?
Yes.
So,
I
and
used to
that
be teaching.
background is being incorporated
Mm.
into your coaching now.
I think so. I used to be a teacher slash director of a preschool, and I do a different type of teaching now, I say. But it does come in handy. My degree was in teaching, excuse me, in psychology and teaching. And then I went on for coaching. So I incorporate a little bit of everything.
Right. And that's very important because a person is a whole person. And the more you can incorporate all your different experiences into being able to understand where they're coming from and why they're doing what they're doing, the better you can help them.
100%.
Okay, so you're saying stop and think for a minute. And if you know in your mind beforehand, you know in the morning that you might come home stressed, but you're not going to jump straight for that, whatever it is your comfort food, but you're going to stop and pause and reflect for a moment. There's a much greater chance of you actually being successful in your quest for a healthier lifestyle.
Yes, I
That's a
find I have
great tip.
many people who are emotional leaders. Let's face it, anything can cause us to want to reach for food. It's not just when we're angry or sad or anxious or lonely. It could be when we're happy. Sometimes people are happy and reach for food. There's many different emotions that can cause us to do that.
Right. Okay. So now we dealt with the parents, more or less. We understand that even though you're busy, now is the most important time for you to take care of your body because you need all that energy. You are starting off a family and you need to be able to be healthy and well to be able to take care of everyone. We also know that proper planning is crucial and being able to pause and reflect before you jump straight into anything is very important. Now, what about teaching our children? Let's start with just the basic. Is it important for children to learn healthy living? I mean, a child is young, their bodies are very often more resilient, right? They could fall and get up 100 times. Where us older, once you're a couple of years older, you're creaking your way up up from the floor if you fall down. They are like they have that Teflon, capabilities a lot of them, just being able to bounce back. How does it work inside of their bodies? How important is it for a child to actually eat healthy, be conscious about what they're ingesting, etc.
Great question. And I'm going to be facetious, but how important is it to breathe?
Okay.
I'm going to answer your question. We have to start teaching children healthy eating habits as soon as they start eating. 6 months. When a baby, that's when most pediatricians tell us, so we should start giving children solid foods now, 6 months. Um, they should be learning. First of all, we should be a role model for our children. I know it's a big responsibility, but just like we teach our children good midos, we have to teach them good nutrition as well. So we have to be first and foremost our children's role model. Healthy eating is so, so important. It helps with brain development. It helps with our bones, with our teeth. It helps for our mental clarity. Children who don't eat well, don't do as well in school. It helps provide energy during the day. It establishes healthy eating for life. Between the ages of 4 and 12 is when most of our habits are formed as children.
Wow.
Um, yes, so we need to start as soon as children start eating, teaching them about what good health means, never bringing in weight. I always tell parents, don't talk about weight in front of kids. Talk about health and nutrition and how their bodies need good food for health wise.
So that's a very important distinction. You do find that when you discuss weight with kids, then they look around, they say, hey, he's fat. And they don't necessarily say, oh, I have to learn how to eat properly. I still want my cookies and my lollies and my
Mhm.
whatever, but just haha, that guy's fat, right? Because it's something that was brought to their consciousness. Whereas if it's not spoken about, yeah, they might still recognize that, but it's not something at forefront on their mind as much necessarily.
100%. Whenever I coach teens, or I don't coach children, I find it's the parents that you need to coach when a child is overweight. But whenever I coach teens, I never stress the weight aspect. I stress the healthy eating aspect.
Right,
But let's face it, if a teen is overweight, their self-concept is not going to be ideal. So as they lose weight, they do improve with their self-esteem.
right. That's true. The healthy eating aspect also is that's the same way you tell a kid to put on a seatbelt in the car and brush their teeth at night. So part of that is also making sure to eat healthy. But the same way we spoke about before about practicality, let's get to practicality. Because yes, we want to teach our children to eat healthy. How do we actually do that? There's a number of different parts to this. Let's start with the fact that outside of the home, they are going to be getting a lot of junk food, and there's no way out of that, right? Especially, I think this is by boys more than girls, even. But they go to school, they have different events, and the Officer Bunim and all these different things, and they're given a tremendous amount of not healthy food. Is there anything we should do about that? What should we do about it? How do we go about dealing with that?
Okay, we have to change that. I know when my kids were in school, we started advocating for healthier snacks during the day. I know my Israeli grandchildren are in a school system where the whole school system does not allow you to bring unhealthy snacks to school. They can only bring fruits and vegetables. Again, for Shabbos, Rosh Chodesh, they can have a treat. But I think it has to start in the school system. We have to start advocating for only allowing healthy snacks for children to bring.
Okay, we should advocate in the school system that they should be able to, only bring healthy snacks. And I do know schools that, for sure, in the younger grades, they say you can't bring in unhealthy snacks. Once it gets to the older grade, that sort of flies out the window. But let's say right now, I'm a parent, I have children in school. There's no way that I'm getting to school by next year to change, what they've been doing for the past 10 years, right? So
Mhm.
maybe we could work in getting a grassroots movement, and over the next few years, we'll be able to get some change. But right now, what do I do? Is there anything to do? Do I just say, okay, it is what it is, and there's not much I can do about that?
Well, I think, like I said, you have to be a good role model in your own home. You
Hmm.
have to prepare healthy meals. You have to get your child involved in preparing healthy meals. I know when my daughter would come home from school, I would give her a fruit. She would cut up and make herself a fruit salad. Sometimes invite some friends over. They would do it together. Make it fun. Meal preparation. Have your child cut up vegetables for the salad. Talk about what it means to eat healthy with your child. Take them on a food shopping expedition with you. Read food labels, explain what it means. My daughter, when she was 6, went shopping with me one day, and she looked at some nash. I allowed some nash in my house. Why not? We were human. And she said, Mommy, this is 5 grams of fat. We can buy it. She knew anything above I didn't allow in the house. This was allowable. So we need to get children aware of what good health means, what good nutrition means. There's a lot we can do about it. But again, first and foremost, we have to set a good example. If we go home and we grab that piece of cake because we're hungry, children are going to follow suit. If we go and we have fruit outside on the counter, if we have vegetables cut up, that's what we turn to. Children will follow suit as well.
Okay, so let me summarize what you're saying a little bit. Um, there are some things that are out of our control. We can, try as much as possible to advocate that those things that are out of our control, that they should change what they are giving the children as much as we can. But if it's out of our control, it's out of our control. On the other hand, in the home is our control, and it's more important, actually, probably. I mean, you didn't say this part, but I'm going to add it in. It's probably more important to train your child to get used to a healthy lifestyle for their life rather than that one lolly or whatever that they're getting in school. So, in order for you to teach them to live a healthier lifestyle, some great tips that you just said. Number one, and the main thing is be a role model, be a good role model yourself for your children. Number two, get them involved. Don't just push it down their throat, but get them involved. You can get them involved on multiple fronts: meal preparation, shopping for the food. They should understand and know what goes into your meal prep, right? Like we'll sometimes tell our kids, okay, you don't want to, eat this for supper. You could eat something else, but you have to have a starch and a protein. So all of a sudden they're learning those words. They're learning what a balanced meal looks like, and then there's the vegetables and the salad on the table, right?
You said it very well.
So they're getting that exposure and they're involved in it. They're not It's not just being pushed down on them. Another thing that you mentioned, I want to get you to expand a little more on this, is that you'll allow treats into your home, and they'll have something extra for Shabbos. So how much? How much is too much? I asked on LinkedIn if anybody has any questions for you, and one person said, Shabbos, there's dessert, there's parsha treats, there's Shabbos party, there's the soda by the meal people have. There's a whole lot coming in. So how much do we yes give? How much do we not give? Like how do we balance this?
Good question. We can't deprive children of nosh, totally. They'll rebel. I see that happen where parents absolutely don't allow anything in their house. They come to parties, these children come to parties, and they pocket all this candy that they have never had before. Kids like candy. They like nosh.
Wow.
How much? Depending on the age of the child. You're not going to give a 3-year-old the same you're going to give a 13-year-old. So it should go according to age. That's another point I want to bring up. Children who are little need little portions when parents feed them. Don't give them adult-sized portions. You need to become familiar with what a child does eat. When it comes to nosh, I have grandkids that come to my house Shabbos. I keep nosh in the house. I usually keep one chocolate type of treat and one crunchy type of treat, and apple juice. I don't keep soda in my house. I keep apple juice. I know they like the apple juice boxes. That should be sufficient. When they start going through every single treat you have for Shabbos, and you make these huge Shabbos parties, it gets them used to having it every week, which is not necessary. So there has to be some type of moderation.
You can't really give just a blanket, get this and don't get that. The point is you're not shutting it down completely because you want to be able to satisfy or satiate their sugar cravings within your home rather than them running and searching for it out
Somewhere
of the
else.
home.
Exactly.
And
And they will. They will
and
search
they
out.
will. And you know what? This is true in a lot of things, not just with candy. I don't want to say anything that might be taken out of context, but there are times that parents won't allow children to have any sort of exposure to different things. And the result of that might be that they're going to look for that somewhere else. Whereas if you give it to them and you give it to them in a controlled way and you give it to them in a way that you're teaching them the proper way how to handle these things, then they can very often be satisfied with that, and learn how to deal with this in a mature manner, and be much better off for life rather than looking behind your back for those stuff.
100%. It's communication. It's asking the children too, what type of treat would they like as well? Again, everyone's moderation is going to be a little different depending on the age of the child. Uh, but one lollipop and another treat is more than sufficient, in my opinion. It doesn't have to be, a
Right.
ton of treats.
You don't need a heaping plate full size of 13 different types of candies on the plate. Let me ask you one last question. It's a little. I think we've got a very very healthy, I should say, understanding of health. And that would basically be that as proper planning, and this would be also for the Nash for the kids, the proper planning really sets you up for success, and everything in moderation, make it all good, fun, and exciting for the kids, not something that you're depriving them of. It's funny, I see a lot of correlations between everyone I speak to in all different fields, that the only way things go over and the only way things work is when it's happy, when we're involved together, and we're not just, beating the kids on the head to do it in this way. Now, let me ask you a sort of out of the box question, which again we got from someone on LinkedIn, was diet soda. Now, soda we know is the ultimate evil when speaking to anyone that's involved with health, right? But diet soda is worse, right?
In my opinion, it is.
It is worse.
I would say go for the regular soda before the diet soda.
Be-
They've done studies and they've actually found that diet soda causes you to crave sugar more.
Wow.
Um,
So should you like tell a child like diet soda is like never, ever, ever, ever? Or
I would say if you're thirsty for soda, have a drink of regular soda. Again, yes, it has a lot of sugar, but it doesn't have the additional uh, sweeteners.
right.
The artificial sweeteners that I don't believe in having.
Yeah, they're having the diet soda. I mean, I
Right.
remember as a child, in my house by my parents, we had soda when I was younger. We had soda on Shabbos only,
Mhm.
and then we stopped having soda at all. But even then, diet soda was like no way, ever, never, ever. And I remember being somewhere once when I was a child. I was on my own, and they only had diet soda, and I wouldn't take a drink.
Oh wow, your parents trained you well.
It was so ingrained in me that diet soda is like not touchable. And I mean, no, but my parents weren't there. Like I just wouldn't
You
take a
just
drink.
knew.
That's
Yeah, I
funny.
don't believe in the diet soda. I do allow it if people want to use it as a crutch, but I say in moderation. I do keep soda for special occasions because
Mm,
I know people do like it, a
right.
party or something. But otherwise, I don't keep soda at all in my home. I believe in water. Um, Orange juice I keep in my home, a little apple juice at times. But I think water is the best thirst quencher. It's the healthiest way to go. And should be given it to children during their meals. Water is great.
Right. What about seltzer? Seltzer water? Seltzer's different.
Seltzer's fine too. Some people find it bloating. It's perfectly fine though. But the
I'm a big
healthiest
fan of seltzer.
seltzer's
Cold,
totally
ice cold seltzer.
fine. I like ice cold water. Even in the winter, I have ice in my water.
One thing I forgot to ask you though,
What?
I really think it's an important question. Picky eaters. I'll elaborate on it a drop more. We had a question from somebody. You have different children. One's picky, one's not. You want to satisfy everybody. You want everybody to be able to eat healthy also. How do we deal with that?
Excellent question. First of all, I recently read something that labels are very detrimental, negative labels. And we shouldn't even really call them a picky eater because there's such a thing as a self-fulfilling prophecy, and they'll always be known as a picky eater. Rather, let's call them food learners, food explorers. I just thought that was a cool idea. And we have to always present new foods to our food learners, our food explorers, because it can take up to 12 times for a child to actually want to try something new. So we
Wow.
have to keep, yeah, it
Wow.
could take 12 times. So we have to keep, and again, not pushing it, offering it. Keep offering it, keep explaining this is a new food we're trying with some old foods on the table as well. You can't just expect them to try new foods with nothing that they're used to on the table. Avoid fighting about it. Keep mealtime as pleasant as possible. Also, have the child who's the quote food learner perhaps make an item for dinner that evening and say, you know what, we're making something new. Maybe you'll even decide to try it after it's made. They may not, but at least have them try and prepare it with you.
Yeah.
Also, many times we think we don't like a food because we've imagined what it tastes like. So I always say, ask them to have a little taste. See what it does to you. If they're going to be so adamant about it, they're not going to want to try it. Drop it. But say, you know what? You may be pleasantly surprised. It may taste like
Yeah.
something you never imagined.
Yeah, I've
So
seen that happen.
encourage them. Even with older people, I know I have clients who said, "Oh, I don't like this," and I go, "When did you decide you didn't like it?" I said, "Oh, years ago." Taste buds change.
Right.
Taste buds are constantly changing. Try it.
I'm going to tell you a funny story, and then I'll ask you for any closing thoughts. When I was a bacher in Eretz Yisrael, so I used to eat a lot of times by different people. I had a lot of cousins there. I would eat by. So one time I'm by one of my cousins for Shabbos, and she served something that I had never seen before. And I was like real just meat and potatoes guy, like nothing
Mhm.
else. And she served this food, whatever it was. So I ate before I took. I said, "What is this?" She said, "Try it, and then I'll tell you." I said, "No, no. What is it? What's in it?" "No, I'm not telling you until you try it. Once you tell me if you like it, then I'll tell you what's in it." And she was adamant about it. I don't remember if I actually tried it or not, but I thought it was very smart of her.
Like sometimes we need to present things very, very pleasingly also for children to try things as pretty and as nice as we can make it. And sometimes labeling food something with a really cool name will get them to try it. Like you can make this vegetable type of cupcake, call it a princess cupcake. Little kids will, little girls will want to try it.
Yeah,
So we have to be creative in how we.
right. My wife had something like that also. She makes some type of carrot muffin,
Mhm.
and she never lets the kids watch her make it, and she calls it sugar muffins, and they go
There
after
you
them
go.
like crazy.
There you go. Hmm.
I hope they don't listen to it until they're old enough not to care.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you have any closing thoughts you want to share with us? Any funny stories?
Well, closing thought 2024 is coming to an end. Uh, let's all think about our health. Let's think about what we did wrong, what we did right, how we'd like to improve. There's always room for growth, for improvement. Never too late to change, never too late to say, this is going to be the time I'm going to get a handle on my health. I'm going to learn good eating habits. And I'm looking forward to working with people in 2025 and helping them attain their goals.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate you coming on. And I really think this is going to be very, very helpful for a lot of people. Thank you.
I hope so. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of Parenting Not What You Thought podcast. I truly hope that this episode has been beneficial for you in your parenting. Please let me know either in the comments or by sending me an email at Baruch, that's BORUCH, at bmaparenting.com. Have a wonderful day.